Delisa Chaponda here, and I'm here with Pete Scott of Pete Scott YouTube channel.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Hello and welcome everyone to the Peter Jack Scott YouTube channel. He is based in the heart of Manchester, England. So sit back, relax and enjoy the show.
I'm Pete and this is my YouTube channel. Welcome. This is the first of many episodes that are coming up, and today I have a very special guest. In fact, this is the pilot of the special guest show. He's a great friend of mine. I've known him for several years now. Please welcome everybody, Mr. Dominic Wright, composer.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this. Can you be good?
Oh, you're welcome. How's things? How are you doing?
Yeah, really, really well, thank you. Obviously, feeling a little bit better now. We're starting to come out of lockdown and everything, and get a little.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to come up and visit you and see the family.
Not
really
seen
good.
in ages. We can't wait to hang out again.
Absolutely. Even if we have breakfast at Debenhams and things like that again. Yes. Okie dokie. So for me, Empty Trains, in my opinion, is your best music that you've wrote, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. But recently, over recent times, Two Daffodils is getting a bit more recognition, because on this Sunday, just gone on the breakfast show on BBC Radio Humberside, you were interviewed talking about this. Can you let your viewers, my viewers, know the insight of this song and the reason behind it?
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you for your kind words about my work, first of all. To Daffodils was specifically written for the Hull Choral Union and their spring concert. And the poem, which is a poem by Robert Herrick, who's a well-known, quite old, he's long dead composer, is very much about the temporary beauty of daffodils, because daffodils are not, they don't flower for very long. So I thought, with it being a spring themed and with this sort of just coming out of COVID and new beginnings, it all ties in with that, but also the kind of sense of temporariness that with the past year or so we've had, when restrictions have been changing without any warning, and nobody, you can't really plan because nobody knows what's happening. So it was quite a lot about making the most of every moment we have, because we don't know what's coming next. And also, daffodils are my mum's favourite flower as well. So that was, I'm quite close. I'm fortunate to be quite close to my mum as well. So that was kind of the sort of thoughts that were, I was thinking about when I was writing it. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Really interesting. I guess your mum's a massive lover of the song as well.
I think she might be a bit biased.
You're talking about Hull Choral Union there. Obviously, I believe you're doing a concert tomorrow at 7:30. Can you tell again your viewers and my viewers how people can get in, log on to any particular websites that you're?
Absolutely. Well, it's a virtual concert because obviously we can't be in person at the moment. And it's on the 7th of April at 7:30 on the Hull Choral Union website, which is hullchoralunion.co.uk. If this goes out after that and you've missed it or whatever, don't worry, because it's available on the Hull Choral Union YouTube channel. So just searching for on YouTube should bring it up. It's actually really exciting concept, because the Hull Choral Union have commissioned a poem by a famous poet called Ian Macmillan, and he's written an absolutely lovely poem that ties into Hull's maritime history and sort of the importance of community singing, which has been incredibly important in the last year or so. And we've been really fortunate that we've been able to invite people from other choirs, not just Hull Choral Union, whose own choirs weren't able to do virtual concerts. So it's been
collective sort of
yeah,
thing
exactly,
as well. Yeah,
exactly. It's been really, and as you mentioned, my piece to Daffodils is being, you know, played in it, and also there's two other pieces by another local composer called Lawrence Rugg. So to have, you know, 4 world premieres in a sort of
absolutely.
amateur
Amazing.
level choir is really quite something, I think. And so yeah, I do hope people can tune in, even if they can't make the actual time. It will be all available on YouTube afterwards.
Sure, I'll make sure the link will be in the description of the
Brilliant.
channel as well, so that'd be great as well. So that's really good, thank you. So I want to know as well, how, because I've obviously subscribed to your channel and I've seen all your videos, how do you come up with song titles like Empty Trains and then Traffic, but then go back to the drawing board in your studio and think, right, I've just filmed a training platform when no one's got on, and then you go, right, okay, how can I write this music and put a piece out there, which people like me, like I say, it's my favorite song that you've wrote, and go, wow. And it's actually quite moving as well.
Thank you. That's a really interesting question, actually. I guess it's about, because the subject, if we're talking about Empty Trains, right? The subject we're talking about is not a particularly interesting, like a train platform, unless you're a train spotter or anything, which I know some people are into. But you know, a train platform on its own is not necessarily a particularly interesting subject. So it's about what do I have to say about that? What can I add to the image of a train station? So. I'm a big fan of this. If you know Wagner, who wrote lots of operas and stuff, he had a really cool idea that was called Gesamtkunstwerk, which just translates to a complete artwork. Which, because if you think about an opera, you had music and you had literature through the plot, you had acting and drama through you had art through the set design. And it's just the idea that all the individual parts can add up to become a greater whole. So I like the idea of, I can be sitting in my room plonking away on my piano, and I can add to something to a really quite mundane image, and the two coming together can be more than they would be separate. But as for how you actually come up with ideas, and it's mostly about being okay with not being very good and kind of turning off that inner critic. You maybe hear from people who are sort of writers that it's just about, just start writing and try not to self-censor and don't think that's rubbish, start again. It's just, getting over the blank page is actually the most difficult. Once you've got 4 bars, you've got everything. But that everything first else, 4 bars is So I think that was kind of answers what you're getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, I really love that piece. I really think, and like you're saying about the whole opera comes together with composers and musicians and the theatre. So people like Hans Zimmer wrote the music for the Batman Dark Knight and the infamous 80s quiz Going for Gold, which when I found out baffled me because I love Going for Gold. In your mind, who inspires you? Your composer or composers? Is there a few of them? Is it Hans Zimmer? Or is it people like John Williams?
I mean, I think we very much stand on the shoulders of giants. I mean, I'm a big film music fan, so Hans Zimmer's up there, John Williams is up there, Alan Silvestri's up there, John Powell particularly, all those, Harry Gregson Williams, all of those you know, I'll have missed some. But also I'm a big romantic, and I mean romantic the period, not sort of soppy. So, you know, Tchaikovsky, Mahler, Brahms, you know, that sort of Holst, all of that. Recently, I've been listening to a lot of Khachaturian, who's sort of a little bit of an obscure Russian composer. But even, you know, even if you listen to some of the more weird stuff, you know, you can't go wrong with Vaughan Williams. You can't go wrong with. I mean, there's so many, and even things that you aren't necessarily to your taste. There's still valuable information to be gleaned from that. So, you know, I would never, you know, some people can be quite sort of music snobs but I think even if there's a song that you listen, you know, even like Billie Eilish and all that, like, I don't particularly like it. It's not, you know, but there's a lot that goes into that, and there's a lot you can glean from that, and you can apply that to your own creative,
where their passion comes together, and like you say, it could be just a certain bit.
Sure. exactly. And I think this is the thing, right, is that creativity isn't really about originality. It's more about remixing. You know, it's
like a limitless wonder.
Exactly. You know, I want to absorb as much information and as much music and as much film and as much art as I possibly can, and then it will all get put into a blender that's in my head and come out as something else. So I wouldn't want to limit myself to like a favorite composer, you know, because I think you can get inspiration from absolutely anywhere.
Oh, okay. I get that. Yeah. So I remember, obviously, when it first came out, seeing Gladiator in the cinema, that was just, again, an epic soundtrack from Hans Zimmer, which was just, wow, this guy's on another level.
Well, yeah. And the thing is with Gladiator as well is a lot of the times you can hear what he's referencing. So a lot of that comes from Holst at the Planets. A lot of that comes from Mahler, you know, and then you mix it up with the Lisa Gerrard singing. Like the score to Gladiator is probably one of the classic.
Yeah, it's definitely up there in the top.
Yeah, definitely. It's an absolutely amazing score. Yeah, you're right. I love it.
Thank you. Your spring entry for this year's score relief is really epic. I've watched the video several times, several hundred times. Sorry. Tell me about how you came about doing this project, because the video is really awesome. Music's fantastic.
Thank you. Well, it's a privilege to be able to work with footage of that quality, really. And it was organized by a website called the QTube, which is trying to address the problem of, if you want to write to picture, you know, to write for film, like, where do you get reasonable, good, you know, footage from, you know? And that competition was in aid of charity that was for people who'd because sort of like technical arts, you know, film and theatre and live productions, all that has just completely died with COVID. And the way a lot of it works is a lot of those people are self-employed, so there was, you know, they were the people that fell through the cracks in all of the schemes that the government were putting in place and everything. So to have that clip be made available to use without there being any copyright or any nonsense like that involved was amazing. So you know, I just came across it on I think Facebook group about, you know, composition and virtual orchestration and stuff. And you know, the footage was supplied with the footage and and the sound effects, but then obviously I added the soundtrack.
The actual
to it.
symphony of it,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it was a fantastic opportunity and wonderful to be a part of.
Oh, absolutely. Obviously, with my viewers and Dom's viewers who are listening and watching now, I definitely recommend you actually check that video. It's really worth it. Really awesome. Got a couple more questions for you. I don't know if you know this, but we actually both sung at Salford Cathedral at separate times, which I think is a gorgeous place really to sing in. I've done it a few times with my church, which obviously you've been a part of as well.
Mm-hmm.
What other venues have you sung at and performed in your life? And also, what venues or arenas or stadiums would you like to perform possibly in the future?
Well, I've sung in quite a few different cathedrals. Durham Cathedral is nice because a lot of the stuff from Harry Potter was filmed there, so that's great.
Oh, I love it.
Seen Harry Potter. I've also sung in Royal Albert Hall.
Oh, nice.
Which was amazing as well. Where would I like to perform? I think can I just slightly change the question, make it more like where would I like my music to be performed, rather than me personally, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, okay. You can do that.
I am quite a big opera lover, and I think any of the great opera houses in the world, like the Royal Opera House in Covent Garden or Sydney Opera House in Sydney, I think they're really quite special spaces.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I think that would be great.
They're just that'll just be unreal if your music got to be played in there and you're just there, just sat amongst the crowd, like listening away and just in awe of it.
That's I'm very early on, and I'm just starting out, and so you never know how things can pan out and where things will go, do you?
Absolutely. My last question. Okay, so when I was 9, I joined the 6th Trafford Boys Brigade, local to me in Trafford. I remember being given an option to either play the drums or to play the bugle. And me, I'm not coordinated at the best of times. I thought drums was out the window for then. And so I learned the bugle, and I learned that for 6 weeks. Was given the opportunity to march with my fellow Boys Brigade members to march to the cenotaph, which was very humbling. Being a part of that was like quite moving, so to speak. What I want to know is, when you were younger, what was the first instrument you played, and where were you at the time?
The first instrument I had lessons in was the piano, and I was really quite small. I was 4 or 5, so I don't necessarily remember the first time I ever touched an instrument, but certainly the piano was the first one, and it wasn't until later on that I started with singing lessons.
Okay.
And the singing was from a performance point of view. The singing was really my main thing, and that was the thing I did the best at. But I also played the French horn as well, which is very useful for sort of cinema music, because that's all.
Yeah, of course.
Horns. But yeah, aside from the composition, which is kind of my main thing, the piano was my first, and the singing was my best, probably.
Yeah. I think I can relate to that as well, because like for me, I was in my viewers won't know, I was in the French choir in high school for 4 years, and got to play songs like Frère Jacques on a little tiny little keyboard, which was quite but also singing as well. And that was every Wednesday after school for an hour. I did that for 4 years, and it was quite an achievement.
French is a really difficult language singing as well, actually. It's really like,
especially in French, yeah.
Yeah.
I've sang once or twice again in like the Audacious choir, but I'd like to get back into singing and stuff like that. So maybe at some point we possibly could collab on like a song piece together. And
That'd be great.
well, Mr. Dominic Wright, it's been a pleasure, and yes, it's been lovely to speak to you.
Really good to talk to you.
Thanks very much, buddy.
Yeah.
Take care. See you soon.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Here we go. Hi, I'm Dominic Wright, composer.
Hey.
Blah 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 blah. Blah 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 blah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I had it on mute. Ooh. Crikey, you've done your research. Blah 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 blah